Hello, I'm Jo, and I'm the curate in the benefice of Desborough, Braybrook, Dingley and Brampton Ash. Last weekend we celebrated Pentecost and the coming of the Holy Spirit on that early church, the same Spirit that is still at work in us today. As a child, I used to love beachcombing, and my favourite thing to find was sea glass. I loved discovering those colourful, beautiful pieces of glass that had been worn smooth by sea and sand, like tiny jewels hidden along the shoreline. What had once been a piece of broken glass, sharp, jagged, dangerous even, had over time been transformed. The constant movement of the water and the rubbing of the sand had smoothed its rough edges into something beautiful, something that brought such delight to a child. For me, that's a picture of how God works in our lives when we remain in the flow of His Spirit. Have you ever met someone who just feels peaceful or gentle to be around? Someone whose presence brings calm? That kind of character usually doesn't happen overnight. It comes from years of allowing God to shape over time. When I meet someone who has allowed God to smooth their sharp edges and mould them into the likeness of Christ, it's like finding sea glass among the sand. And one of the places where that shaping happens most deeply is often in the place of solitude. So often we rush through life, we're distracted, busy, noisy, constantly connected. But when we intentionally draw near to God in quietness, through prayer, silence, walking, worship, or simply being still before Him, we place ourselves in the hands of the Holy Spirit. Solitude becomes the place where God can gently mould us, soften us, and smooth our rough edges. In my family, if one of us is being particularly irritable or short-tempered, someone will often ask, "Have you spent time with Jesus lately?" Just the other day, I was feeling particularly grumpy and irritable. I could physically feel stress in my body. And so I caught myself and I said to my husband, "I need time with Jesus." And I took the dog for a long walk in the countryside. And as I walked, I prayed, breathed deeply, and centered myself on Christ. And slowly I could feel the tension ease and my inner irritability and disquiet softening and leaving me. When I go into prison as part of my ministry, I can meet people whose lives have deeply hurt others, like broken glass. But I also meet people who have encountered Jesus and they're becoming different, they're changing, they're becoming softer, gentler, more honest, more hopeful, more like sea glass. The Holy Spirit is transforming their lives. And that's why Pentecost is such good news. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, the same Spirit that changed Peter from a fearful denier into a bold preacher, the same Spirit that transformed Paul from a persecutor into the greatest apostle the church has ever known. The same Spirit is alive and available to each one of us today. If we stay close to Him, especially in those quiet places of solitude and surrender, He'll continue shaping us to become more like Jesus, growing kindness instead of anger, patience instead of irritation, peace instead of fear. And little by little, our lives begin to reflect the beauty of Christ, like sea glass transformed by remaining in the flow of the sea. We can be transformed by remaining in the flow of the Spirit.